Women Entrepreneurs Award to Mrs. Aparna Umacharya. She is MD Gemini and Company. I request Mr. S.K. Verma. I request Mr. S.K. Verma to please come on the stage. Mr. S.K. Verma to please come on the stage and facilitate Janab Habib Ahmed Sahab, President ISF. May I request Mr. Sushil Gupta again to please come on the stage and facilitate Mr. Sanjay Gupta, President IFCOMA.
What about this posthumous recognition award?
No, that is the only one left.
I again request Mr. Ketan Sangvi to please come on the stage for posthumous recognition award to late Shri B.D. Bhaiya ji. Mr. Manoj Bhaiya will receive the award. Thank you so much. Now I hand over to Mr. Yavan.
Thank you, Deepak. I'd like to acknowledge and thank the Vice Presidents, Irshad, Wahab and Khalil for supporting the Indian Shoe Federation and the IFCOMA in conducting such a glorious event. Thank you, gentlemen, for all your support. I had a request from Akhil Bhai, and normally when Akhil Bhai gives me an order, I have to follow it. We'd like Israr, he's the regional chairman South. We'd like him to speak to us for a couple of minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. So please, over to you, Israr. Sorry.
Thank you, Yawar Bhai, and thank you, Akhil Bhai, and good morning to everybody. I'll try and keep it very short. I know that we have Friday prayers today, so everybody would like to leave. First of all, this is a very proud moment for us from the southern region to have such a great fair. Definitely, as Babuji had also said, we are missing a fair, the ILF, but I think apart from that, just the gap of 6 months is a perfect timing to continue this going forward as well. A lot of exciting things are happening in the southern region with the bigger players also coming in from Taiwan, who are also going to bring in more technology. We are also having a lot of new joint ventures which are coming in here in Tamil Nadu. Especially you have heard of Hongfu, which is coming in with a large plant, and along with them are also coming more suppliers. From what we've heard, that Nangpo is also looking at, which is an adhesive manufacturer from Taiwan, is also looking at a plant set up here, and others will follow. And I think the situation that we see in Tamil Nadu itself, we will see an explosive growth in the next few months. I hope not only 10%, Akhil bhai, we will get 20% hopefully, but it will be in the next 2-3 years hopefully. So we look forward to it. Thank you so much, and I wish all the participants a very successful fair. Thank you so much.
I'd now like to invite as our last speaker, Mr. Irshad Ahmed Mecca. Irshad has got some wonderful views about what the manufacturing facilities and businesses and attitudes should be to take India to the next level. So I'd be delighted if Irshad could share with us some of his thoughts, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, good morning. I'll try to keep it brief. The topic that has been asked of me is cannot be brief, but anyway. First, I'd like to mention my special thanks to Uncle Hashim. I don't know if Uncle Hashim remembers himself, but when I was 14, I was in boarding school and away from, in the US, in Boston. Uncle Hashim visited me as many times as Babuji, my dad, at boarding school. And that was a time that I really cherished. One of the things I can't still forget is that every time he'd visit, he'd take me out to a nice restaurant for dinner, and then afterwards he'd say, "You stay over." And when I would stay over, the snoring, जो खराटे मारते आप, उसमें कोई नहीं सो सकता. So the next day morning and Monday I would go back to class, I would be completely sleepy. Anyway, I'd like to, I've been asked to talk about the future and share some thoughts. These are my thoughts, right? I have a strong feeling that, okay, there's good news and there's bad news, in my opinion. The good news is that most of our current problems that we have will not be there in the future. The problems that you have with labor, the problems that you have with cash flow, credit, all this won't be there, trust me. This won't be there, this will disappear. That should give you hope for the future, right? The bad news is that whatever you have, what you consider assets today, those will be your liabilities tomorrow. So that's the bad news. So all those machines, Akhil bhai tries to sell me machines every 6 months. And he's the smart one here. He's trying to get rid of all his obsolete machines, and for some reason he thinks I'm the only one who will be ready to buy them. So the bad news is assets are going to turn into liabilities, so we've got to be aware of that. The second thing is, getting credit is not an asset, it's a liability, and the future is going to be a cash economy, meaning there's not going to be credit. So these are some things that we need to be aware about on how the future will be. So when I joined the business and I told my Babuji, my father, how am I going to handle this business? What about this? I don't have experience. And there are some anecdotes that he gave me that I'd like to share with you. He said, "Bete, आगे जा रहे हैं तो rear view mirror देख के गाड़ी आगे नहीं चलाते. So stop looking at the rear view mirror. आगे देखो. Don't worry about what has happened in the past. Experience से कोई मतलब नहीं है. कोई आके, if anyone comes and says, मुझे 40 साल की experience है, he said, don't value it. Today what is needed is people who think ahead, think forward, not get bogged down by all this experience, which is, you can go to an MBA and study in Harvard and find out that it's called sunk cost fallacy, which means that because you've already invested, you've got to stick with that. That's something that we all have to get our minds out of. A lot of our industry is stuck because we are trying to do whatever we have been ingrained to do, and we've got to break out of that. And that is one of the things that Babuji himself specially has encouraged our business by saying, don't get weighed down by all this liabilities, thinking that you've got invested your time. The other thing, when we are running our business and we are running at full speed and we have got all this opportunity here, one of the things that advice that's given by Babuji to us is you don't fix the plane when it's flying. So you better bring yourself down, calm down, slow down, fix yourself, fix your business, fix the 5 Ps, what he calls fix the people, the process, the plant, the product, etc. So he says go back to basics. Don't get worried about all these other things. Fix the business and then go ahead. Then the other thing that I'd like to briefly mention as being very important to all of us is innovation. India is famous for jugaad, and jugaad is not a bad thing. When Babuji said, we've got to think for ourselves, not worry about China and not worry about Cambodia or Vietnam, we've got to do what we are good at. If we are good at jugaad, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. Just do it well class. Just make sure that out-of-box thinking that we need is what we need to win this race. I'll just share one last point, one point that before I go further, the big change that we are going to notice here is the domestic market. You cannot ignore the domestic market. The domestic market today in many ways is ahead of the export market in terms of quality, in terms of competitiveness, in terms of service. And we need to up the game to try to get into the domestic market. I'm talking specifically to our component industry. You cannot ignore the domestic market. And I've already heard from everyone that it is growing and we need to be more involved with that. The last thing I'll tell you, after having said all this, the last anecdote, we've been working very hard in growing the business and we've pushed, and my father says, when you want to, you've got to grow the business. Growth mindset makes you think long term. So with that in mind, the 4 of us brothers, we push the business. We push it as hard as we can. So the example he gave us was, it's like a cycle. बेटा ये साइकिल जैसा होता है, आप पेडल करो, जितना हो सके पेडल करो, और एक डायनामो होती है. As you pedal, the dynamo lights up the light, आगे की रास्ता दिखती है और घड़े में नहीं गिर जाओगे. तो this concept that Babuji gave us, all 4 of us took it to heart. We pedaled really hard. बाद में अब recently we went back and said, पापा ये pedal करते जा रहे हैं, कुछ नहीं हो रहा है. तो he said, बेटा chain कब की टूट गई. You got to fix yourself. So a lot of things the future is bright, but the key thing is we've got to fix what is current, right? And to fix it, unless we fix this, that future is going to come and go past without us recognizing. So I am just hitting my time limit, so I'll stop right now. But thank you very much, Habib bhai, for the opportunity. Thank you.
Really interesting to get a family boardroom perspective from Irshad. We've all now finished our graduation at the Harvard Business School, so we don't need to go there now. It's all been given to us by Irshad, and of course the anecdotes from Babu Bhai. So I also need to go and fix the chain, the cycle, the dynamo and everything else. So thank you so much, Irshad. Very delightful to hear you speak today. The General Secretary Gorbachev wants to do something again. Come along, please.
Please excuse me, I missed 2 eminent personalities. One, Mr. Irshad Mika. I request Mr. Manoj Bhaiya to please come on the stage. and facilitate Mr. Irshad Mika. And now, the personality who has actually played the pivot role to organize this the event, Mr. Yavar Dhala. Mr. Manoj Bhaiya, please. Thank you so much. I hand over to Mr. Yavar, please.
Just to conclude, the formal vote of thanks. Delighted to see Uncle Hashim here. He responded very positively to our invitation, and I'm delighted to see you, Uncle. You have been always the lighthouse for the whole industry to look up to and show the direction. Thank you. And Babu Bhai, Mr. M. Rafiq Ahmed are the two pillars of this industry who have always been there for us. Delighted to have him here, and I'm going to now go to him once in a week and get some family boardroom anecdotes to improve my life. Akhil Bhai flew in from Switzerland yesterday. He's brought me a box of chocolates. Very kind of him to have arrived at 2 o'clock in the morning, and his commitment to be here. He was here on time, and that's the mark of the man. Thank you so much, Akhil Bhai. Israr delighted us at the press conference a couple of days ago. Some of the questions that we were not able to answer, he had the right answer and impressed the press. And he has been widely quoted in all the publications that have come out in the 20-odd stories that have appeared. And to my leader in the Shoe Federation and my elder brother Habib Bhai for motivating us to do this event. Thank you so much, Habib Bhai. God bless you. You're truly an inspirational friend, brother, and a leader to have. Sanjay Bhai, thank you so much. It's been a convergence of different impressions on how to run a show. We had our own little challenges in the beginning, but I'm so happy that we were able to iron them out and move forward. So thank you so much, Sanjay Bhai, for your patience and perseverance. Irshad, delighted to hear him speak today. He's always at our Shoe Federation meetings, enlightened us about how India should think going forward, and I was particularly keen that he spoke today, and I'm really happy that he did, because we learned a lot from him today. Wahab, Khalil, Mr. Vijayan, Shafiq Bhai, Manoj, General Secretary Gorbachev, Vikas Rati Saab, Verma ji, and our Mr. Abdul Rahman, who has always been very supportive to our efforts. And thank you all exhibitors for being here in such big numbers. We've got confirmation from 28 international brands today. I'm sure they will all come probably this afternoon and tomorrow, and I use this opportunity to interact with them. We had Suresh from Clarks, a director from Clarks, and also Mr. Moeen from Skechers, and they were both very, 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 very optimistic and positive about the future in India. In fact, Suresh made a comment saying that Clarks were looking to increase their business in India, but they were struggling to find capacity. So this is the time, friends, and take it forward and really let us rock the world. Thank you very much, and enjoy the 2 days at the fair. God bless you all.
Database.